Like, as compared to who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what? Like
Us, Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
Israel,
Us,
Turkey.
Chapo Trap House, us
Yes.
specifically.
Yeah,
And I would
it's like everyone makes mistakes.
Listen, the audio of this episode of this live performance is online at chapotraphouse.com/pod save America. But the best way I can describe it, my friend Josh listened to it, and here's what he texted me. Oh my God, I'm just starting, and the audience is literally booing and hissing the names of Republican politicians like in a fucking children's play.
Again, the thing that I was most interested in is just like observing and feeling how their interaction with their audience. And it's just, it cannot be underscored enough how much somebody's saying like, well, what we really need to do is win the next election is a huge applause line, gales of torrents of standing
They have total contempt for their audience, and so do we. But I respect all of you fucking pigs enough to abuse you constantly because I think you can get better. They don't. They're just appeasing them.
They say, like, we have got to win the election. That basically, the reaction was similar to the Hulk Hogan meta moment in Gremlins 2 when we saw that in the theater.
Yes.
It got big applause.
Yes, absolutely.
Here's another text from Josh. One of these dudes was just like, well, some people recognize that women are people and got applause.
Yes.
And that's kind of what it was like. It was just kind of like this kind of slogan earring and people laughing, and it's like I kind of want to yell, "Why are you laughing?" It was like Homer watching a Prairie Home Companion telethon. Like people just it was, you know what it was like? Have you ever watched the first episode of Boardwalk Empire?
Yeah, of course.
You know the end of it where there's like this 20s stand-up comedian, and you're telling this like very stripped down, like basic kind of comedy.
Yeah, Eddie Cantor, I believe.
And people are and it's just the audience is laughing at the end of every joke, like just at the right time. It's all like highly regulated, like a Victorian audience or something. That's kind of what it felt like. Like people knew the appropriate time to do an applause and the appropriate time to do a laugh.
Okay.
What the British would
very
call a
robotic.
panto.
Okay, as someone who has told jokes on the Pod Save Network, I literally felt like Goku. I was dominating. It was just on a roll. It was like I had aimbot.
Yeah.
It was literally going from training in 30 times gravity like Goku, going back to Earth.
So some other stuff that I've learned, they have a game that they play called Wait Stop, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, now someone explained this to me, and it honestly sounds like a blatant ripoff of the Chapo reading series.
We didn't invent reading articles.
What
How are
this
these motherfuckers going to read
They
articles?
play like a 2-minute clip from Fox News or something where it'll be like Steve Mnuchin like blubbering through some kind of boilerplate Trump administration rhetoric, and about every 3 seconds they'll say, okay, stop. They stop the clip and they rip on it for a few seconds. But the rip on it, it's like sub Bill Maher. Oh, the Republicans. It's like the clip stops and one of them like turns to the audience and goes, really? Gales of laughter.
this one was
That sounds good, dude. I mean, like, sometimes the thing is, it's like, the world's fucked up when you get your news from comedy. Your comedy is the news. The best golfer,
The president?
the president. The best rapper is white. The most powerful guys in the world are named Colin, Bush, and Dick and Cheney. It takes longer to. Fuck this joke.
This video was a clip of Rudy Giuliani, and I don't remember what he was saying because I was kind of laughing because I was imagining all those like weird pictures of him smoking a big cigar, just looking like an absolute asshole. And I'm like,
Like
okay,
a damn boss.
so like this is like the only point where I was really getting into it, imagining those funny pictures. And he was saying something about the president's legal troubles. I mean, who knows? I don't know. But this was a segue to an interview, one of the John's interviews, Letitia James, who is the Attorney General of New York State now, who won her primary against Zephyr Teachout, who I think is just like has my favorite name in politics.
It's
it rules.
very strong.
Yes. Zephyr.
Yeah, she's like she's like the villain in a Sam and Criminy Croft production.
She sounds like a blimp that didn't really kill anyone. It's pretty cool. Pretty sick name, actually. From one weird name to another, props.
Letitia James, she won her primary, and that's where she said, what was it, Matt, that she said? I'm not going to
She said
prosecute
during
Wall Street.
the primary, she said, "I'm not going to be the sheriff of Wall Street."
I'm going to be the wolf of Wall Street.
and Letitia James, who was talking about, we're gonna get Trump, we're gonna get him because all that federal stuff was a bust, and we're gonna hold him accountable.
What, we're gonna we're gonna send the cops from Law and Order to arrest him on the White House lawn? You gotta fucking send Lenny Briscoe up there with some handcuffs?
Imagine sending the NYPD to arrest Trump. That would be like the biggest strike ever seen in American history. You would see cops doing a die-in. They would refuse.
Which I don't. At that point, there was a lot of like stuff like that, right, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it was fairly like, rah-rah, like get the audience's spirit up, like trying to just go down every rabbit hole of legal recourse as possible against the Trump administration, even imagining, like a state.
Which, like, how are they still invested in this stuff? Because, I mean, this is just straight when prophecy fails shit. Like,
Yeah.
they did multiple emergency fucking podcasts about Robert Mueller.
Well, they got to keep it up that the president is a criminal and does many illegal things, which fair, but they have to keep the fire going that there is some recourse to it, no matter what avenue it goes down, because otherwise they're very action oriented. They're like, this is wrong, and then we can do this to stop it. And so there's.
But what can they do about a bunch of police about what a bunch of federal and state investigations? What is the audience at Pod Save going to do? Stand in front of one police plaza with a fucking little pennant that says cops?
They're gonna vote Democrat in 2020.
Well,
but all those people are already going to do that.
Right, but did they talk at all about like impeachment and the fact that Nancy Pelosi, the leader of the Democrats, is just saying flatly, we're not going to impeach Donald Trump?
Maybe they referenced it offhand, but it was only to then further stoke Tish's recourse in the states.
So like we're not going to impeach him, but like the New York State Attorney General is
has certain,
they're going to be the ones to do it.
Yeah.
What? They're going to reveal that he's a fucking criminal? I know when he knew that before they voted for him the first time.
They're gonna. Gonna reveal the double crimes. I don't know. My eyes were kind of glazed over at this point.
They could subpoena him, and then he'd be required by law to
and he would do that.
That's my favorite thing about these, like the idea of like New York State prosecuting him, is because like. Did you read that big profile of Mark Burnett that was in the New Yorker?
No. Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
it was really, really good. It was.
He's one of the most evil people on earth.
He's responsible for Trump more directly than any other person on earth.
So there's a part in it where they're talking about like before The Apprentice, when Trump was like, he didn't know if he wanted to do it, and he's like, yeah, I don't know if I want cameras in here. I meet with the mafia all the time. And it's like, they haven't gotten him at this point.
Well, one thing nobody who's in New York City and paying $500 to see Pod Save America was on the fence about voting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is also they can't really wrangle. Like this whole interview is talking over, but not really wrangling with the central, inconsistency that this is the most famous, overtly criminal person in American life in a century. And there has been literally no progress at all in dealing any kind of recourse to that criminality. And so we have to keep opening cans and pretending that there's going to be some kind of a punishment or comeuppance inside of them. And we got to keep opening all the legal cupboards until something falls out. But it's all just like talking hypothetically, And it's getting people to imagine sometime down the line that he will be punished.
I mean, they're sort of like, this is bad, but here's what we do about it. Like, that seems very much in line with when we did the Dan Pfeiffer book, where it was just like, here's what you do. Get all of your facts together. Create a fact file. Create a fact Excel sheet where you can reference facts in every one of your posts, arguing with your dumb relatives.
Go down to Kinko's, collate some fact binders, pass them out at Thanksgiving.
And, like, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Well,
so when did the madness really start creeping up your spine, Virgil? When did you start getting the fear?
Well, then there was this part where, I mean, like I was pretty deep in the shit at that point, and I took a quick break to go to the bathroom and be alone for a little bit, and then came back and no lines for the mayor. I came back and they were talking about 2020, and they're just kind of calling out the names of like Pete Buttigieg and
30% of the audience cheers. Elizabeth Warren, 40% of the audience cheers.
So
it's like call and response.
So this is just like the best content I can possibly imagine. This is a well constructed stage program. Anyway, so like we alluded to this earlier, but there is this paramilitary organization called the Friends of the Pod. That it's like. Are you familiar with the SS? And these goons conspired to violate my First Amendment rights at this venue.
I will say that it got to we've been in there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. It was clearly like the last 5 minutes of the show.
I was punished. I was punished. I had to watch the bullshit.
And Virgil was pushed over the edge and was just kind of looking around at this point, very audibly emoting. How can you stand this? How can you take? How can you take this pablum, this utter, I believe the phrase "utter drivel" was uttered, was said multiple times, and it was at that point that the people around us, who had largely been ignoring our hijinks to this point, began to take notice.
And but up until that, was Virgil, were you just sort of angrily muttering to yourself, like "fuck you, fuck you, fuck you"?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I think this is a classic Matt situation where Virgil thought he was muttering, but he was probably screaming. I think it was like Matt during inauguration weekend where he would walk by just any just fucking corn family wearing MAGA hats and be like, "Fuck you!" And I'd be like, "Matt, that was so loud, man." And he'd be like, "What? I said it under my breath."
The thing is,
I literally had to when we went into our fucking hotel before we left, Matt just hissed "fuck you" at some guy in a cowboy hat. And I had to go out and talk to 4 guys so they didn't try to jump us when we came back.
Well,
he was a cowboy manlet. I remember
I have to represent the show. I have to get mad about Iran. I have to be screaming when I think that I'm muttering.
The only thing that was missing for channeling the show was saying something about the spectacle.
And frankly, the thing is, you watch a Twitch stream, right? You watch a Let's Play video. They're not gaming in total silence. They're giving commentary.
Yes. And so at the end, a usher came over to where we were staying, and basically before any word left the usher's
this is
mouth,
an Gruppen Führer, I would say.
we stood up and left. And that was it.
Yeah, so I mean, we are working on constructing a lawsuit for damages for defamation per se. By the way, those damages are implied, sir.
I mean,
I will be representing Virgil through my studies of Michael Avenatti a lawsuit.
By just transferring Virgil's bank account to your own.
All right. These are all alleged crimes against Mr. Avenatti.
Here's my main takeaway and why I continue to be so fascinated with especially these guys' live shows is that they have to try so little. They know what they're talking about and they present it in a very clean, digestible way, but they have to put so little effort into getting 3,000 people just on their feet, on fire about very bland boilerplate, basically CNN with level content with some swears.
Yeah.
And when I see that, I do not see 3,000 lost people. I see 3,000 people who have been so enthusiastic about being so minimally activated that they're really just 3,000 people waiting to have their third eye opened to something like Chapo mindset.
I'll say a couple of things. What kind of depressed me the most about the whole thing, and it's not the Johns themselves.